Ahoy ahoy to all you smooth sailors out there, and welcome aboard the DeckTales Podcast. I'm your host and captain, Sammy Catlin, and this is the show where we set sail into the captivating world of ship life. Most of the time, delving into the best and worst experiences of the incredible crew members who called the open sea their workplace, but I'm open to the odd exception as well. Whether we're navigating stunning destinations to weathering unexpected storms, our guests all have stories to tell that will make you laugh, gasp, and maybe even shed an unexpected tear. So if you're a seasoned cruiser eagerly awaiting your next embarkation, or just curious as to what goes on at sea, DeckTales is your boarding pass to a world of nautical narratives. My guest today is Mr. Fergus Ford, a former cruise ship videographer and photographer who admits that back then he didn't know what the hell he was doing. Fergus spent a few years going back and forth at sea and remembers it fondly. He reminded me of things I'd completely forgotten about and revealed some questionable practices he was taught when learning how to dispose of certain chemicals. We worked together for a brief period, and it was great to catch up with another former colleague from over a decade ago, so let's anchor up and dive right in. Fergus!
Hello, mate.
How are you?
I'm all right, bud.
I can't exactly pinpoint when it was we worked together, Fergus, but I remember you being with Sean on board.
Yeah, so I reckon... So we started in October 2007. I feel like you came on December time, maybe?
So I would have been, in that case, I would have been on the contract with Drew, Dave, Josh, Jenny.
Flipping dream team, bruv.
Oh.
Yeah, so... And Josh was there as well, I think.
Yep, Josh as well. Sorry, don't miss him out. Yeah, Josh, of course.
Love Josh, man.
Mr. Valentine.
And then we, I think Kane was cruise director and...
No,
Gavin,
Kane was...
Kane was ACD and Gav was cruise director, right?
I think Kane or Drew, there was a turnover point where they were senior entertainment host. Gavin was ACD, Stephen Guy was the cruise director.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Man.
I had to write all this stuff down because it was only, 4 years I did in the industry. So I was able to map it out and remember all those years ago who I'd worked with, where, when, why. But I've had a good, what do you call it? I got a great call with Snezhina yesterday, who was a shoppie from Bulgaria. And I think she was on my first contract, and wow, boy. She used to be a cabin steward. She's seen some stuff, and
I think that's what I was going to say. Though, like, I think the mad thing about it is just like the people on the cruise are wicked, man. Like the friends that I made on ships, like I don't know, it's a really intense way of living, isn't it? And I think that like James is like my best mate in the world. We met on ships. Mike Palmer, I think he was on your show team.
Mike Palmer. I
reckon Mike was on the show team that left, and you guys came on. Who's in your show team?
Gemma Andrews. I was seeing her for a little bit. She's married now, so I don't know what her surname is. But there was Josh Nelson was seeing a girl called Red.
Oh yes.
And I'm
Sarah,
struggling. Right? I'm struggling to put everyone else alongside those two. Because,
but it does, doesn't it? It just all blurs into one.
Yeah, because I obviously didn't just work with one show team over 4 years. I mean, 5, 6, 7. I don't know. Yeah, it does blur. But so, how many years did you do, Fergus?
So I was on the ships for like 28 months, but I genuinely had 1 week off in that time.
Wow.
And then because I was meant to have a bit of a break, but the flipping Iceland volcano thing happened.
Oh wow!
So I was stuck on ship for 3 weeks when I should have been flying. But yeah, so I was on there for like 28 months, and then with my company Colorbox, I went and lived in Barbados for 3 years. So although I wasn't on the ships at that time, I was still very much involved with them. So like I came back with Gary for a couple of like supernumerary jobs, and man, that was sick. That was so cool going on a ship for like 10 days and training photographers, and like it was cool, man. It was good. So I reckon like I was in the ships, like I was with Colorbox for 7 years.
Colorbox is your company?
No. Colorbox is owned by Gary Lister, and it's something I want to set right, because I feel like a lot of the photographers you've spoken to, I think a lot of them did work for Colourbox.
Right. Is it sort of like the
And
equivalent of Steiner and the Salon?
yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so Colourbox is a concession, and they operated on loads of ships. They're on Saga, all the Lewis ships, all the Thompson ships. I'm trying to think that they're on loads, and Gary was like, how we got into it. Gary was like our savior, because I was a playwright. That was my job.
Well,
Before,
didn't know that.
yeah. Well, that's it, man. Before I joined the ships, I'd studied drama, and I was like a director. And long story short, I had like the worst year of my life. Like, my cousin had a car crash and was sent to prison, so we had to, and we were living in Edinburgh at the time, so we moved back to help him and Sarah like look after the baby while he was inside. And then I got commissioned to write a play by a company called Understairs Arts. And stupid, I didn't know my ass from my elbow at that time, man. I didn't get any money for it or anything, so I kind of put best part of a year into like writing this play and workshopping it and stuff. Then that company went bust.
Oh, God.
And they were running like a load of venues at the Edinburgh Festival.
Oh.
So they're taking a lot of money from a lot of theatre companies, and they went, like I say, they went bust. And so we kind of went up to Edinburgh to face the music. And man, that was horrible, because obviously everyone thought I was Understairs Arts, right? And I was like, no, I'm not, man. I was employed by them, and like, yeah, it was horrible.
So
and then my mate Edwin, God rest him, he got attacked and died. And it was just
What,
fucking...
at Edinburgh?
No. He was back here in Croydon,
right.
and it was just the worst year of our lives, man. And I was like, I want to run away. Like, Sean and I were both like, we just want to
That's right.
up sticks and move. Den came out of prison, so he was moving back with Sarah, and like we were living together at the time and all that. Anyway, Gary, who owns Colourbox, is a family friend. He was speaking to Sean's mum and was like, "Oh, what Ferg and Sean up to?" And she was like, "They're having a rough time. They want to get away." And so that was it, man. I went and met Gary, and like I thought it would be like, I don't know, I thought it'd be like 3 weeks in, 1 week off kind of thing. And he was like, "No, you go away for a year." And I was like, oh, I couldn't leave Sean for a year. And then he was like, well, "What's Sean doing?" Because Gary's MO was always like, you can learn the job. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can learn how to shoot, like how to edit. You can learn all that, but what you can't learn is to just be a shit person. And like, shit people, man, they're something else. Like, it's I think you know, there are people that survive a contract, and there are people that thrive in a contract, and like a lot of people that survive, you know, they're not the ones that stick in your mind. Do you know what I mean? Like, the ones that thrive.
You mean like embrace it for what it is?
Yeah, like just understanding, like there's that thing in it, like you work hard and you play hard, and I think that anyone that's done a shit and has thrived at it just has a work ethic about them, and like just an optimism, I guess. Like, I don't think you get in any other industry. Like,
do you feel like ships have ruined you in a little bit? Like,
no way, man.
I've never been good at doing the office 9 to 5 because of that.
Right, sure.
So every day is different for me.
Well, like, I don't have a 9 to 5. Like, I've got my own photography company now, and like, everything I've done, is 100%. I would not be doing what I'm doing if I hadn't done cruise ships. I would not understand the business. I would not understand the pitfalls and all that good stuff. So like, I completely the opposite. I think ships made me. I don't think they ruined me at all.
I would agree. Yeah,
man. Like,
I mean, there's only a few people I've ever met that absolutely weren't suited to it. Like, I'll give you an example. So I met some guy who was the most energy vampire draining person, you know, should we say? And I met him on set. I was on some what do you call it? You know, the Kingsman films?
Yeah.
It was the second one. And it was filming over at Long Cross Studios. I was lucky enough to be playing a dead body, and I didn't have to do anything.
Cushy job, man.
It was so cushy, and the food was awesome, and you know, the ground was sand. So basically, I was being paid to have a snooze in the sand for a week. And you know the set was Poppyland, which is in the second film, but it's like this Aztec 50s kind of American boutique type jungle place. So it was a really cool set. And we were just watching, basically, from being dead, all of the stunts being performed while there's this big showdown. It was such a cool week to be on set. I really, really enjoyed it. It's one of my standouts, just, you know, being allowed to see that stuff up close. because I love film. But there was this one guy who was just another dead body, and he seemed so dire. It was like he's like another day, another dollar.
Oh, really?
Same shit, different day. I'm just like, well,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
got speaking to him, and he used to work on cruise ships as a show team member, but
yeah. No way.
didn't manage to do more than one contract because he missed his friends and family so much. So it's
Yeah.
like you get people that are so family oriented, and they would never work on a ship. I
But
don't.
this is what I'm saying, man. It's like the people that don't survive, they haven't got that. You got to have you got to have a work ethic. You just got to embrace it and
You got like people.
yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. And again, that was something that Gary was really on. Like, he's like, he can't teach me to be like personable and outgoing. Like, you've either got that or you haven't, right? Like, and I think that everyone on the ships, you've got to be gregarious and like love a bit of fun, right? And I loved it. I properly loved it, man. Like, I would not change it in a heartbeat. I had such a good time.
So 28 months back in 2007 was the first year?
Yeah, so so 2007 I joined, and then in 2010, whatever the maths is, that's when we went over to Barbados to head Colourbox's operation up there.
And then
Sean and I got married. Sean and I got married 2010, then went back to Barbados after we got married for 18 months, I think. And then
So how long have you known Sean, your lovely wife?
oh, bro, long time. I met her at high school, bro.
Yeah, you guys were like attached to the hip.
Yeah, and that was something. That was something actually. Like when I went for my interview with Gary, and I was like, well, maybe I could do it for a year, or whatever. And he's just like, look, I don't want to destroy whatever you and Sean have got.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't understand what he meant, but like, when I got on the ship, oh my days, like, yeah, obviously it's an intense way of living, right? And like people, as you know, like couple up and all that stuff. So.
Yeah,
I kind of avoided all that because I was with Sean. But yeah, no. So I met her when I was 14. So we've been married 14 years and been together 25, 24.
Oh, well, here's to many more. Cheers to you and Sean.
Cheers, man. As my best man said, I punched well above my weights and just held on to the ropes.
Well, I don't know about that, but what was nice was seeing an actual couple that were like, you ain't breaking them up kind of vibe. Those two are for each other. They're made for each other. That's the vibe we all felt with you and Sean. I felt like everyone else was just kind of floating in the wind, but there was this concrete kind of definition. Not definition. Just the vibe, Verg. Just literally everyone,
thanks, man.
Everyone
Thanks.
thought that's like a reminder of what love could be.
I don't know if she'd agree with you, but yeah.
Oh, come on. You don't see it often though. Like,
Were you on board with him? Because I proposed to Sean on Destiny. So I went back. I don't know if you were on board at that point. So this play that I'd written for Understairs that went bust, and it got picked up by the Dublin Gay Theatre Festival. And
was that the intention?
So I flew back and like rehearsed it in my dad's surgery with two actors, and we went to Dublin. And like while I was back home, my cousin who had come out of prison at this point was like, when are you gonna propose to Sean? And I was like, I should probably do that. So yeah, like after this play, I came back, and Julie, who was the front of house manager, she sorted us out with a suite up there, and like it was quality. Like it was a bit of a ruse. So my manager Kat had like organised this kind of faux job. He's like to Sean, he's like, oh, Julie's got some family on board. She wants you to go up to this suite with your camera and take some pictures, blah, 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 blah. So Sean's like talking about like, oh, I've been asked to do a special job. And we were in the Lido that night. And I said to Sean, what time is that? Is that job you've got? And she's like, oh, God, I completely forgot. Yeah, but I think it's 11 or something. And I was so clever, Sam. I turned to Si. Did you know it's Si?
Names are coming in the thick and
Maybe
fast.
not. I turned to Si. I said, Sean, you're so forgetful. You're going to forget a really important engagement one day. And Simon thought it was hilarious because obviously he knew I was proposing to her, right?
Clever wordplay.
Like, oh, mate, it's just genius. It's just genius. So yeah, she came up. She came up to the suite there, and I was there, and she was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And we went out to the balcony, and obviously got one there and all that stuff. And all the while, I don't know if you remember, the Lido kind of jutted out a little bit, like the sun deck kind of jutted out.
Yeah.
And I was on my knees.
Overlooked the sports deck.
Yeah, exactly. And this suite was real, and I was on my knee, and I could just see fucking Lisa and about 50 other people like pressed up against. I was like, "You're not going to see anything, bro." But yeah, she said yes. Went down to the crew bar. The staff captain was awesome, man. He was just like, "That's it." Just opened the bar, sent the Gurkhas away. It was a full on charade for
Sent the
a good.
Gurkhas away.
Yeah, no, he did. He was just like, "No, it's open bar tonight."
Oh, that's
Um,
wicked.
oh, it's so cool, man. I'm kicking myself because I wish that I'd asked the cat. You know, they do a ship's chart every cruise. I wish I'd got the chart for that.
The chart?
So like they do a kind of map, or as I understand it, they kind of do this. Like they kind of
Oh,
mark out where the ship's been and all that jazz. And I could have worked out where we were, but fuck it, that's fine.
yeah.
Um,
They always sold them in frames. Obviously, you knew that all about that. But
yeah. Well, we never really got involved in any of that, but no, man, it was like I said, I just loved it, man. I loved it, and I had the best job on the ship. Like I don't care what anyone says. So I came on as a videographer. That's how I started, and like I just go on trips and film people.
Absolutely.
And like I wasn't really beholden. The photography team, it was something that I really changed when I was manager because it was very separate. It was like the video guy was the video guy, and it was always a guy. Unfortunately, there weren't any girls shooting video at that time. And he was just kind of left to his own devices, which is like I loved it, but like when I was a manager, I've really engendered much more of a team spirit because it could get quite lonely. But it was just mental, man. Like I literally just go on trips and then edit it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and,
Well, concessionaries had their own cabins as well.
yeah, and again, something that Sean and I because we were together. We shared a cabin, but it was the two of us, so that was grand. And it was just me. I didn't get any money though.
No?
Like my first month, my first month, I busted my ass off, and you're doing the whole thing like learning the ropes and who's where and all that jazz. And I think my first month I got paid like 140 quid, and my bar bill was like 180 quid. So the crew person was like, "You can't leave the ship," and I was like, "Come on, man!" And Roger, bless him, my manager, sorted it out, and I got a bit more money. But yeah, like the first, in fact, I don't think I made any money on the ships, man, because you just lived, right? Like, and I wasn't, like I said to you, we were just running away, like we just wanted to get away, and so the ships were like this awesome opportunity to just see the world, like
That's it. Yeah.
But yeah, that first month was brutal.
It's definitely an eye opener into the world of what careers can be. Like, well, I'm similar to you. Like, when you obviously got to a point in your contract where you were sick and tired of the food and the mess or the Lido, you'd go out and eat out every single chance you got.
Mate, absolutely, every port just because it was depicted by what you could eat.
Yeah. So you ain't saving money. I remember, I think it was Madeira. I used to always go to McDonald's.
Oh, Sam, you're killing me, man. Madeira had that French restaurant.
No, I know. But
Don't be going to McDonald's, bro.
it was close enough to not have to go all the way out of town. I mean, it's just some things you can't. Oh, I don't know. Like there were plenty of other really good places to eat in Madeira.
Sure.
But for the price point, and trying to live on a budget. Like we never sent money home. You know how like all the Filipinos and stuff, they would save money, send it home. Enough money saved, they can buy a lot of land, a plot of land.
Yeah.
We're not able to put down the money for a mortgage with the pennies we've scraped together. So it sets a foundation, I think, in people's mindset of to like the kind of graft people were putting up with at sea. And then you come back to the real world and see how different the pace is. Like it's not 7 days a week.
Yeah.
It's hours based, like 9 to 5 in most cases. So then you're like, well, what do I do between the hours of when I'm supposed to be working and when I'm working and when I'm not working? And you just cram it all in. I do at least. And the last few years, especially, like, it's kind of picked up again, shall we say.
Sure. When we were on, man, like the waste that is created is just astonishing.
Well, let's talk about that. So you worked in the photography department.
Yeah.
And well, I heard this from like people in nearly every department, but like the waste that's generated within.
Yeah, man. Well, and
Not so much, not so much our department. The only thing we wasted was answer sheets for quizzes and trophies and medals.
well, like, I mean, it's been said before. Like, obviously, the game is being consistent and having lots, right? So we'd print 15,000 pictures up on the wall, and you have to print them because if they're not printed, they're not worth anything. Like, if you're holding a piece of paper with your loved one on it, it's got some value. If it's a screen, it's not. It's just not the same thing. And also, it's just time-wise, it's quicker and easier to do. Not that I'm saying it's right, but that's how, you know. But also, man, like the chemistry on the ships, like, so on all of our cruise lines, we had Fuji Frontiers, which are big old, like, you know, photo printers, photo developers. And so essentially what happens, a little piece of paper goes through a scanner and the picture gets scanned onto it, and then it goes through this series of tanks like this. And you've got your P1, your P2, and like, it's not good stuff. Like,
it's not toxic.
Yeah, like it's you know, the developer, it's not good stuff. And we had this silver halide machine. So there's a lot of industrial silver in that solution, right? And we had this silver halide machine which extracted that silver because that had some worth. And we had all the paperwork to say, like, you know, this is now safe to pour down the drain, but it fucking wasn't, bruv. Like, there's no way, you know, there's no way that if somebody put that in a watering can and like poured it on my head, I would not be a happy boy. Do you know what I mean? And that's essentially what you're saying. You're saying, like, this is wastewater. Do you know what I mean?
So where did that stuff go then?
It's just down the drain.
Into the sea.
Yeah, so there was a big sink in the photo lab, and as long as you'd removed the silver, as far as the industry is concerned, that is now safe. And Captain Emmanuel Psarakis, I don't know if you worked with him.
I think that, yeah.
Oh man, he was mustard. I loved Psarakis, but he, in every captain's meeting, he's always talking about the chemicals, and the chemicals are dangerous. And I'd say, Captain, you know, here's the paperwork. The chemicals aren't dangerous anymore. Like, in my heart of hearts, I was like, you're probably right, but like, you know. And so I think a lot of that will have changed now, because obviously those machines they're still amazing, but like, I think that most ships now will be using dye subs, but that throws up a shit ton of waste as well. Like, you know, you've got these films that you can never use again, and you like, you know, it's tricky. And I think whenever you're doing anything at the scale that the cruise ships are doing, it's very hard to give passengers, like, you know, that kind of opulent holiday without generating a butt ton of waste.
Of course, yeah. Which is a shame. But somebody described it as a modern day monument to gluttony and decadence, which is,
yeah, sure. I think that's
a great kind of title for it.
I think it's one of those things as well that, like, the kind of people that go on cruises time and time and time again, like, I think it's nice to see the other side of it, you know, like because it's. Listen, I had the best time. Like I said, it was wicked, and honestly, like, I know that a lot of people had like issues with their employers. So the colour box looked after me, man. Like, I had such a good time. But the actual cruise lines themselves, they're greedy buggers, man. Oh yeah. Like, and the way that it worked in the business side with the photo concession is that we paid a percentage, right? So just have a stab, Sam. What do you reckon would be a fair percentage if I was to come onto your ship and
take pictures for us?
Yeah, but staff it and like put all the equipment on, do all the training, like all the flight stuff. What do you reckon? What do you think's a fair percentage? Like, you take how much?
Well, I'm just trying to work out. I know that the Steiner girls were earning about 14% on every haircut, or something stupidly low like that. So I would say it would probably be around the same, or maybe a bit higher.
So, mate. No. So Thompson would charge Colourbox 72%.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Like 70. So if we made 10 grand.
Don't quote me on that Steiner quote.
No, it's all right. I
don't know. I'm just speculating, but
you can quote me on this.
Yeah.
Like, if we did 10 grand in a week, which would be a fairly sort of standard British passenger, that's another discussion. Like, the Yanks and the Brits are different kettle of fish, man. But like, standard week on Destiny would be anything between 10 and maybe 16 or 17 you'd make on Destiny, right, on a good week, right? So of that, you're giving 72% to Thompson, like 72%. So that's what, 9 grand, 10 grand, whatever, and like that's on a good week. But if you have a shocker, if you only do 8 grand, you've got to give that 70, still give that 72%. And like, they're just relentless, man. Like,
no wonder
every
you didn't
year,
make any money. No wonder you didn't make any money.
exactly, because of course that's what Gary's making, right? So that's what Colorbox is taking. Colorbox is taking, they're taking 28% of all the revenue, and from that 28%, they've got to pay us. They've got to get all the ship's equipment and all the ship's mounts and paper and chemicals and. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a very thin margin. And like we said to Thompson time and time again, like, because, it's always the same complaint from guests. It's always like, it's too expensive, too intrusive, like all that. And then Thompson come to us, so like, you need to lower your prices. And we're like, bruv, you need to lower your cut. Like, you lower your cut, we can lower our prices. But of course, they don't want to do that. They just want to lean on the concessions to do that. And like, one of the things that Gary suggested was like, why don't you just add £10 on the cruise? Give us that money, and we'll give everyone their photos for free. You'll be the most wonderful and loved crew. But of course, the whole game with Thompson or whatever is just like basically getting people on the ship pays for the for the running of the ship, and they make their money from bar sales and from money on board. So like there was always a big push like to get that onboard revenue. Of course, that fell on us, and like you're between a rock and a hard place because how can you expect us or Colorbox to like invest 15 grand on a new green screen studio or whatever if we're only making 50 quid a month, like it's and so like that, I think that's like the only kind of like the only thing that I didn't love was that just the unfairness of that, like I had, my guys saying to me like, I want to earn more money. I'm like, bruv, we all want to earn more money. Gary wants you to earn more money, but like this is the setup. And honestly, Sam, every year they just turn that screw. And then I think I was involved in like the final kind of pitch to Thompson when they got they had the dream and whatever before they became, because they're Morella now, right? Is that right?
I haven't done my research, but that sounds plausible.
Yeah, so I think basically Thompson, like their last kind of hurrah, I'm sure, is the dream. Yeah, and we pitched for that, and we were like, look, forget about the money, but we will do. And again, like you touched on the whole social media thing, we were like, we'll train up our guys and we'll create much more kind of social media content for you, and like, really high end stuff that is invaluable. Like it's a huge, like you said, you don't have to get an influencer, you don't have to get a TV crew out. Like our guys can do it for you. But they was like, no, you're not competitive enough. And do you know what? When it's 76%, bruv. And it still wasn't competitive enough. So I think Image or Ship's Photographer probably offered like 80% or whatever. And like,
so Colorbox lost their partnership with Thompson.
Yeah.
Because somebody went and gave them, an even higher price.
And it's crazy because you just disenfranchise everyone. Because the photographers aren't getting paid as much as they should be, so they all jump ship. So like that was the thing. Like Colorbox is like a fucking rehab, man, for like the amount of sad photographers that we got that had left Image or Ship's Photographer because they just because they're the solution for them is just like do more shoots, and it's like you just piss everyone off. You piss off the photographers because they're like going into like a doom thing. Like you're on a gangway with people trying to go on their trip. Like they don't want a photo.
Capture the moment of me about to go on my moment.
Yeah, exactly right. And like it's crap. And like we knew it was crap. And my philosophy was like just do fewer shoots, but do them really, really well. And because if you've got a happy team, you're going to do better because everyone looks happy in the gallery, right? Like if you've got everyone completely burnt out and sad, your sales are not going to be good.
Smile for the camera. Thank you. Next.
Exactly right. And yeah, so like I said, I think that's the only kind of negative thing that I could take is like the actual cruise industry, and they're a business. They're in it to make money, and I get it. But I don't know what happened to those other concessions. But of course, the other thing was, mate, is like a lot of them, like Image, they were working on big American ships, and the difference between Brits and Americans with photos is unbelievable. So like you'll be in the gallery and you got a big American and they'll be like, who took this picture of my wife? And you sort of sheepishly put your hand up and go, I did. And they're like, this is fantastic. Oh, she looks great. And they just chuck you a tip and they buy it and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like a celebration. Whereas Brits are like, who fucking took this picture of my wife? And like, oh, I did. Oh, got buy it now. Ah, it's like this, and it's utter disgust. They've got a really nice picture of their wife, and they have to buy it, and they're furious because you know what I mean. Like it's just so different. Ah, bloody hell, I got to buy it. Ah, yeah.
You make me look like a right mug if I don't buy it. It's you
yeah, exactly right, exactly. And so, like I say, I think a lot of those concessions were coming at it with like that American mindset. By like when they met the Brits on their fucking booze cruise in Gibraltar. I hate them. You'd look at it and go, oh, so in Gibraltar this week, we're doing nothing. Like that was hard work, man.
I got fond memories of Gibraltar though. That was literally the first place I ever went to.
Oh, really?
I believe. Well, I think so. Yeah, because when I joined the Destiny in 2006, me and Kane and the guys who were in my team, we were there for like 2 weeks because the ship was in dry dock.
Right.
So we literally were just every night going out and enjoying the sports bars. And
I love Gibraltar. I love Gibraltar. Like, I love it. I just don't like the passengers that went on that cruise because it was going to Gibraltar. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
With 2 empty suitcases for their fags. And oh, come on, man.
That's the one, yeah. Do you miss it though? Do you miss ships?
Yeah. So I've got 2 kids now, and I'm desperate. Sean and I are desperate to take the boys on a cruise, man. Like I do miss it.
How old are your boys?
Tobes is 11 and Dilsy's 5. So like I think they're about the right age to kind of enjoy it. It's just the money, man. Like it's an expensive one because you obviously pay the same price for a kid as you do for an adult because it's a soul on board, right? But I do miss it, and like I just anyone that I would talk to about, I'm like, do it, man. Just it was so fun.
Well, I know that you think it's fun, but we've got to roll through some questions just to get some stuff off the top of your dome. Scariest moment? You got any of those in the locker?
Not really. I did think of it. So we had the lab flood once, which was pretty hairy. So I was in John Mark's cabin playing some poker, and there was an announcement saying like code whatever. I can't remember what the code is now.
For a flood,
for a flood. And I was like, and then they said photo gallery, and I was like, photo gallery. Did you work on the celebration?
No, just the Destiny.
So the photo gallery was like in like midship. Like I was like, there's no point in me going there because it's just a photo gallery. Like it's a public area. Anyway. And then it came out again. They said deck 9, and that's where the photo lab was. And I shat myself, and I ran up there so quick. Sam, you have never seen. So it's in deck 12. It's right at the top. But what had happened is there was a swimming pool next door.
Oh, right.
Which had obviously just failed. Oh, mate, it was everywhere. And luckily most of the stuff was raised up anyway. But my poor Fuji, man, like, I loved that machine with all my heart, and it was just like waist high in water. I was like, that's never going to work again. It did. I fixed it. It was fine. Oh, wow. She's an old girl. She cracked on with it. But yeah, that was pretty hairy. And I think the other thing that I wouldn't say it was hairy, but was just really eerie. We were doing a transatlantic, and the water was just still, like literally like
milk pond,
yeah. And it was mad because like we, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, there's just thousands of miles all around us with nothing, and it was really weird. Like it was like a quiet that you haven't, you can always hear those ship engines, but like it was just like that and that was really eerie, man. And like so we were all out on the deck, and this bird, I don't know, I'm not a twitcher, but a bird that was obviously in its migration was just knackered and landed on the back deck, on the crew deck. And this massive Egyptian guy went and picked it up, and we're like, oh no! But he took him under his wing, and we called him Reggie.
Oh.
And this huge Egyptian cook kind of coned off an area for Reggie to chill out in, and he just bought him food every day. And it was like, I think the transatlantic was like 5 days, maybe, or 4 days. And like, so for 2 days, we'd like come up and check in on Reggie, and he was just there knackered with his wings, like being fed bread and stuff. And then at one point, Reggie just took off and flew off, and we were all a bit sad from that day, Sam.
That's lovely. We like stories like that. Did you do any of the charter cruises? I don't think Compson's really did many of them. I'm not sure.
No, just the repositionals, and I've got a good story for you on that, man. So like, obviously, like the cruise ships just do circles, right? You go to a port and you just do a circle round and round and round and round, and then every now and then you get what's called a repositional, where the ship moves from. So I think we were based in Palma at that point, and then we're going to the Red Sea, whatever it was. And so you do these repositional cruises, and repositional cruises, especially for Thompson, were really they were frequented by like seasoned cruisers because they'd be going to ports we wouldn't normally go to. Yeah. And then Shorex would have this difficult thing where like they're selling tours that they don't really know what they are. Yeah. And so we were going, like I said, I think we were going to Red Sea. So we were going through Israel, and the ship had never been to Israel before. And it was Christmas, and Sian had actually she was at home because she'd like snapped a ligament in her knee. Oh. So I was on the ship on my own, on Matilda, and Gary, bless him, because he's amazing. He flew Sian out for Christmas to be with me for that week, which is wicked, man. And so going to Israel, and I said to Shorex, like, look, you know, if you need like an extra chaperone, Sian can come. So they were like, cool, well, you guys go on this tour, because I went on all the tours, because that was my job. You guys go on this tour, it's an easy walking one. You'd be grand. So, okay, cool. So we go on this tour, and Sam, mate, like, hills you haven't seen, bruv, and like ravines. So Sian's on crutches, right? Oh, God. And there were like 6 buses of people who had been sold this tour. It's not Shorex's fault. The port agent said it was an easy walking tour. It wasn't. It
was perilous.
It was mate. Yeah, it was like proper Indiana Jones stuff, you know,
running away from boulders.
Yeah, exactly, man. It was, and so like obviously. Like, we've got the Thompson face on, so I said to a lot of these elderly folk, I was like, look, Sian can't do this either. She's going to go back to the coaches. If you want to go back with Sian, we'll sort it all out with Shorex. But for those that do want to soldier on and brave it, you know, I'm with you. So I'm wandering along, talking to this lady, and she was like, oh, you've got a familiar accent. And I said, my usual shtick, you know what it's like, you've always got shtick, haven't you? I was like, oh yeah, I come from Croydon. That's why I work on a cruise ship. Ha 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 ha. And she's like, don't knock Croydon. It's a great place. And I said, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. Are you from Croydon? And she was talking. And yes, she was from Croydon. And I said, oh, whereabouts? She said, I'm Thornton Heath. I was like, oh, cool. My dad used to work at a hospital in Thornton Heath. And she went, oh, so do I. I worked in Mayday. Now, just stick with me, mate. This makes sense. So we're chatting about it. I was like, oh, no, we all know my dad then. Like, what did you do? And she said, I'm a midwife. And I was like, well, you'll definitely know my dad then, because he was obs and gynae. He caught babies. And she stopped, man, and she just went white as a sheet. And she went, what did you say your name was? And I said, I'm Fergus. And she went, Fergus the fetus. Now, you have to understand, Sam. You have to understand, this is a very private thing that I'm sharing with you on your podcast. When my mum was pregnant with me, my brother and my sister and my dad referred to me as Fergus the fetus. That was like my pet name.
What, whilst you were in the womb or when you were...
Yeah. Whilst this is obviously stuck with this woman. She sat there like, we're in the middle of Israel, right? Yeah. Like, you know, fucking dealing with ravines and steep hills and all this jazz. And she just looks at me and goes, I delivered you.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, you've got a brother called Ed and a sister called Felicity and your mum's called Jo and all this stuff. And obviously, because she knew my dad, because they'd worked together, and just through sheer blind coincidence, and because I am gregarious, and that's why I enjoyed the ships, I was chatting to her. Yeah, I met the woman who delivered me, man. And it still gives me goosebumps even saying it now. Like, it was cool. So I went back and I just like emailed my dad immediately. Oh, I can't even remember her name.
But that's awesome to be able to meet the person that essentially helped bring you into the world,
right? And like I think it's quite unusual for. I mean, midwives are awesome, but they deliver a lot of babies.
Yeah, obviously. And how many of them do you get to meet all grown up?
Do you know what I mean? Do you know how would you even know? I mean, the reality is probably
you wouldn't know. And the fact that she went white as a sheet goes to prove or show that she doesn't meet any of them.
Well, and she knew my private name, man. That's just for me.
Fergus the fetus.
Yeah. Fergus the fetus. Yeah, that was mad. That was mad. Like,
But you've looked like since I've met you, because you went on the ship, you had no beard and you were bald. You shaved your head.
Yes. Yeah.
You've
I've grown
completely
up a little bit,
changed.
man.
You've changed completely. Now you don't look like Fergus the fetus.
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
Not that we called you that on the ship.
No one called me that on the ship, but I did. And most people called me Uncle Ferg because obviously I've been looking after my nephew after my cousin had that car crash.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I've worked too hard for this uncle title. I'm not giving that away. So Mike, bless him, he's still very much in my life. He still calls me Uncle Ferg, which makes me very happy.
Yes, it's nice to have a nice title. You
Yeah,
said
right.
so. You said Sean hurt herself with the ligament damage. Was that on board or was that back?
No, mate, that was so. I said to you, I had 2 weeks off in that whole time. It was the 2 week holiday that we had. We were back in the UK, and mate, we're in a play park, like a park, and I picked her up and put her down and just snapped her ligament in her knee. It was really bad. It was entirely my fault. Nothing to blame the ship on.
Oh, okay. But then, so with the ravine excursion, did it all end okay? No one was injured on that. It was
No. It was all fun. There was a lot of complaints.
I bet.
For sure, but no, man, it was it was more. That's more just people after a freebie. Do you know what I mean? Like I was told it was going to be this, but like I think in general the shore excursions, all that jazz. It's all you know. These guys do it day in day out. Like there's no real.
No, and repositionals are quite experimental. Like you don't,
Exactly.
you don't know what you're going to get. They're kind of fun because they're a break from the norm. You get sick and tired of going around and around and around. Then when you're going from
100%,
another
man.
place, it's like, oh, what we're going to see. You want to get
100%.
off the ship at every chance you get. Then
Absolutely, and I think as well, it's just exciting, like for the as a crew member, the repositionals, because like you say, you just get that excitement of seeing new places because it's weird, man. You just get blasé about it. You know, like, I've been to Petra 30 times, and Petra's amazing, but like the 30th time you've been there, you're like,
that's what you hear about it after the first time.
yeah.
I've seen the pyramids once. I don't need to see them again.
Oh, bruv, yeah, the pyramids. Oh, that was a whole thing. Like jumping in the car. So we had a local cabbie called Cow Cab who would pick us up from the port, and we'd drive down to the pyramids and meet the guests down there. Like again, really fun adventure. But like by the fifth time you've done it, it's like I'm done with this, man. Like,
Yeah, I never even did it. I never went there.
you know, oh,
Oh well, I'll go one day, Ferg. I mean, no immediate rush.
no rush.
Have you got a most embarrassing moment from your time at sea?
I don't think so. I made a bit of a tip myself. Probably the most embarrassing thing was when you and I and Drew formed the boy band Testosterone, which you probably don't remember.
What?
Yeah.
Wait,
I don't know why. There was some kind of like hybrid karaoke because we didn't have any of the gear. But for some reason in the OB, people started doing this awful karaoke. And Drew came over in that really intense Drew way and was like, I've done this thing, right? And he put us down. He put us down to sing. I don't know what it was, some Backstreet Boys song or something. And so I named us Testosterone, and I said that any women that didn't want to be pregnant better leave right now because this is one virile group.
One virile group and Sam,
Yeah.
babyface. But
And I've got a picture of it somewhere, but Julie was leaving, and like you said, I used to have a shaved head, and my head had got quite long, so I had someone shave the word "bi" in my head, so I had it just like in tufts coming off my head. I've got a lot of pictures of that somewhere.
Well, this is the funny thing because obviously, I was talking to somebody the other day about how embarrassing content and stuff. Everyone has a smartphone now.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I think I had like a Sony Handycam or something, like really just a very basic digital camera. So I've got only a couple snaps, but I think I took a bunch from Nick, one of the dancers on the first contract. And you take pictures from people who've gone places, almost like I didn't go, but I went. Like I was
Sure. I was there. Yeah.
I more or less saw it, but just not with my own eyes. These are the
Yeah, see, it's funny because I've just got loads of printed photos, man. That was one of the things that, like, I mentioned it earlier. The British passengers didn't really like us. You know, like we weren't popular with the passengers, but we were popular with the crew because we had access, right? Like we had the amount of people that we printed pictures for, or whatever. And I've got boxes of photos, man. And like, there's something really quite special about like finding an old 8x10. Do Do you know what I mean? Like, even if it is just captain's night and like you're just stood there in your tux with, like, even that, it still has such a nostalgia to it. You know what I mean?
100%.
But yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. I think that there's, I think now, you document it so much better than we did, because it was just different. And also, internet was so scarce, man. Like, you'd go on, you'd look forward to a port that had good internet. I mean, I can't imagine that's the thing now. I'm pretty sure that every port is perfect. You know what I mean?
Or even on board whilst you're at sea, I imagine it's better. It has to be.
Yeah, probably. But to be honest, like I say, man, like I think I didn't have any of that homesickness or anything like that because I was with Sean.
And because you had testosterone.
I had testosterone, bro. Come on, like the big.
What did we even sing? I can't remember.
I honestly can't remember. It was some boy band number that I would never in a million years have picked. But you don't argue with Drew when he looks at you like that and says, "We're doing this thing." You go, right, I agree.
I even put how drunk was I? Was I definitely in it?
Well, mate, we're in the crew bar, so you would have been. Yeah, you definitely were, Sam. It was you, me. I think it was you, me, Drew, and maybe Mr.
Oh, do you know what? I haven't been able to get in touch with him. I've reached out to him.
He's such a legend.
He's AFK, away from keyboard. Yeah. No one's been able to get a word out of him. I think mental health wise, it didn't.
It's really hard, man. Like, it's really hard if you're, it's something you've talked about in a lot of episodes. Like, there are so many people that are properly institutionalized, that just can't function. And so, I don't want to say any names, but there was a destination services manager who, no, she wasn't. She was guest. I can't. But she was like a fully functioning alcoholic. Do you know what I mean? Like, fully functioning. Like, she was just battered all the time. And you'd be like, "You okay?" She'd be like, "Oh, I'm just really tired." You're like, "You're not though, are you? You're quite clearly like hammered, and it's midday." Do you know what I mean? Like, and also like there's a real struggle with class and power on the ships. Like, it's so clearly personified. Like, the amount of captains that would just get a girl from D deck and just move her up because he said so, and then, so somebody who's meant to be a cabin steward, she doesn't work anymore. She's the captain's girlfriend. And just that really clear, it's messed up, man. Like that dynamic is never fair because he's the captain of the ship. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't say no to him because just get kicked off. So
one of the first things that they teach you is on board the ship, the captain is God, right? How messed up is that?
Yeah. That's so it is. And I think it was the South African fella photographer. He sounds great, and I think we swapped positions. I think he left when I came on, but what he was saying was like the harder you work, the less you get paid, and I think that's such a true reflection because I did a shift, but I wasn't in laundry or or in the galley or or those cabin stewards are just working 12, 14, 15 hours a day. I wasn't doing those kind of shifts, and I mean, I didn't make a lot of money, but the expectation is oh, you're white and British, so you get this, you're on deck 4, you get a nice cabin with a porthole, and blah 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 blah. Oh, you're Filipino and working in the thing, you're in the bows of the ship, and there's 6 of you in a room. Do you know what I mean? It's just like that.
The hierarchy
is very much there, and the way that a lot of the officers spoke to deckhands and stuff, I don't know, that was always quite jarring for me because I'm very much of the opinion everyone's cool. I don't, whether you think you're more important or not, we're all on the same vessel. If the ship was sinking, I'd try and save you all. I wouldn't pick you because you got more stripes. Do you know what I mean? No,
you did see a bit of occasional bullying though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, definitely. And I think it's systemic in all walks of life,
Absolutely.
And so when I like I said to you earlier, when I became manager, I was really keen to just make my guys all feel valued, and it's just the way to do stuff. If if you can keep everyone happy, then everyone wins. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think that, I think that is very much just systemic of like the time that we joined. You know, like there was still very much this kind of like, and I presume it's changed now, but there was still this very much kind of almost like a military approach to it. Like, you know, and I think that that's just, again, systemic, and it kind of worked its way through all the departments. But I dare say that has changed now. I think there's a lot more
Who knows?
kind of understanding crew welfare.
Side hustles. Obviously, you're not making any money. So did you have any extra ways to make money?
Well, not really. I mean, like I said earlier, like we had we had access to the lab, and so I did a couple of videos for like the onboard entertainers that came on. So like George, did you ever work with George King? Yeah. So like filming their shows, and again, it's one of those things, man. Like if I look back at the fact that I called myself a videographer and I called myself a photographer, I had no clue what I was doing, man. Like, and I would love to go back. And like I said to you, I kind of did when I went on those supernumerary cruises. When I went back, when I was living in Barbados, I went back to the ships for a couple of like special cruises and training and stuff. That was really amazing because I was able to actually do the job. Like, we're employed because of who we were, not because of what we know. Mm-hmm. But at this point, I was still who I am, but I also know a lot more. Do you know what I mean? And so, like, where I would do these show reels for guest acts. Namely, it would just be recording their show, right? And like you'd record it and then put it on DVD, and then they'd go, "Thanks a lot," and then they'd try and sell it after the thing, you know. But I think back, I had one camera. I didn't really know anything. Like, I didn't know about exposure.
Yeah.
I put it on spotlight mode, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's amazing! It's the best I've ever." Because you know what it's like. Normally, when you get those show things, everyone, all their faces are completely washed out and white, because they're being lit on the stage, but the camera's looking at the stage as a whole with that big black thing, so it pushed the exposure. All that stuff that like I didn't know. I just got lucky. One of the worst things is when you got you got a photographer on board and they've got a degree in photography. You're like, mate, that's not helpful here. That's not what we're after. We don't want a degree in photography. We need you to be confident and fast.
Yeah.
But also that. Like, just having that chick. So I don't think we were in the gallery one night and James came up all sheepish. And I was like, "You're all right." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I think I misjudged it." I was like, what do you mean? And he'd gone to a table and been like, "Hi guys, we're doing headshots tonight." And this young, like 15-year-old girl was like, "Oh God, not again! I'm not doing this." And James was like, "It's all right. It won't take a second. I just need you to stand up here." And she did. She went and stood there. Because it's the thing: if you say it with enough confidence, people just do it, right? So James was like, "It's fine. Just stand there and then lift one leg." And so she stood in the middle of the restaurant on one leg, and James just turns away from her and starts taking everyone else's picture. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And like, it's that you've got to have that about you. Do you know what I mean?
Puppet master.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to have that, just that confidence. So he just ripped it out of her.
Well, that's it. Like, but you knew what you knew what you were doing to a certain extent, how to work the opera, the machines, and everything. I wasn't hired because of who I knew or what I knew. I think it was more because of what I didn't know.
Right, sure.
I was so naive, but so like just like whatever about everything.
I loved it. So I don't think we spent that long together, but I had a great time with you, man. I think as well though, Destiny is just a special ship. Like I really do feel that like Destiny was a special ship. Like, so I only did 8 months on Destiny, and then I was on Celebration for the rest of it. And I had a good time on Celebration, but like Destiny was the one, man. And like when they used to come in Barbados, whenever I could, I'd get on and see everyone. And
there's a sweet spot, right? I think where if it's too small, it's very intimate, and the audience is necessarily kind of like, they're not really like raging for a good time. They're just kind of like seasoned. When there's too many people, when it's a massive, humongous ship, it becomes like herding sheep.
Yeah.
But the Destiny was I think a sweet spot for having not too many, not too few, just the right amount of people.
But I think it's more than that, Sam. I think it's about just like, because Destiny was obviously run by Lewis, which is a Greek company.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the crew, so Celebration was MSc, I think. They were like, so there were a lot of English officers.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know, it was just a different, I was talking about earlier, like that kind of military vibe. So there was a guy on Celebration called, who is the security guard. He was like head of security. And it was comedy, mate. Like at formal night, he'd come out with like all these badges, all these medals. And you're like, bro, you're not in the army. You're just, and he had this.
Was he taking himself seriously?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right.
He had this breathalyzer that he held like a holster, and he'd like walk down. And I'll never forget, I was getting pissed up. So like towards the end, when I was photo manager, man, I just had the time of my life. I just hung out with Thompson manager and the officers, and just I ate in Zzz's every night. Like it was awful. It was just such an abuse of power. And I was in staff captain's room with the safety officer, this guy with the breathalyzer.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to get a top score on the breathalyzer.
Who can outdo each other?
So I'm like literally there, like swabbing my mouth out with whiskey, like trying to get it up. And I've got Nathan there going, I demand a reblow. And I don't know, like the English officers, that was an exception. That was good times. But like the English officers I found on Celebration were just a bit more stuffy and a bit more, like I say, it's that military kind of vibe. And I felt like the Greek ships, they were just a bit more chill about it. Do you know what I mean? And that it all filters down. Oh, I got another one for you actually. Just think, yeah. So when we were again Celebration, and on Celebration, that point was Captain Roy, who's a serious South African dude. Roy Dearman, he's a good lad, a really nice guy. And you had to understand, like doing the Red Sea, like in Egypt, like the port authorities, everyone's on the take, and it's just so frustrating. So like I had this delivery that I was waiting on for 4 weeks, and every week it'd be like, oh, you ain't done the pink form, oh, you ain't done the green form. And I said to Gary, I was like, I've got to bribe them, like that's the only way I'm going to get this stuff. And Gary is like, absolutely not, don't do it. Anyway, eventually we got our stuff after 4 weeks of me like berating the port agent. That same day, we're meant to sail at like 4 o'clock or whatever. And Captain Roy comes on the thing and he's like, I'm going to do the accent and I apologise. But he's like, it's like, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're meant to be sailing right now, but because of the Stasi port agents, they are accusing us of discharging brown water. And we were like, what? So basically like the Egyptian port had said like, oh, we saw you like dumping brown water, so you got to pay us 250,000 euros. And he was like, and Roy was a legend. Like he was really clear with the passengers and everyone what was going. Like he did this on the PA. Do you know what I mean? He's like, I'm not gonna. I think the words he said was like, I'm not gonna negotiate with these terrorists. And so like basically he said to the port, he said, get your divers down there, get your samples, like prove it, and I'll pay. But there's absolutely no way and we were in that port for probably about 6 hours. And then they got that.
Was it brown water that he said? Because I think the term for sewage dumping is black water.
Oh, it could have been black water. Yeah, whatever it was. The Egyptian port had accused us of dropping this in the thing. Yeah. And, mate, the British Embassy were on board, the whole shebang. And then eventually, like, I think they realised, we're not going to get away with this. So they just let it go and we just sailed off. But, like,
did you have to pay the fine?
No. Well, as far as I am aware, as far as I'm aware, we didn't pay the fine.
Yeah.
Oh, also, you talked about in one of your first episodes, man. I was on the Destiny when that girl had a baby.
Oh, were you? I didn't make that up. The Destiny's Child.
Yeah, Destiny's Child, mate. We took her picture. So that was Emmanuel Psarakis, and bless him, he was such a wicked captain. He came on at like 7 a.m. and was like, to all my crew, I love it, because he always said that. He said, to all my crew, I need you to know I love you very much. That's how he started most of his PA announcements, which is wicked. And he was like, I'm really happy to say that we're one more on board. But they weren't, I think, if I remember it correctly, we went and took their picture and then they had to get off because I don't think they're essentially a legal immigrant, the baby, because she wasn't registered anywhere. So I feel like they had to get off and fly home. But that was a mad one, man. Like, waking up the next morning to that announcement from
How did she not? Because you're not supposed to go on a cruise if you're pregnant, but she didn't know she was.
She's 15, bruv. She didn't know. Like,
it was 15.
Yeah, she was really young.
Damn! Side note, Fergus later got in touch after the recording to clarify that he made a mistake there. He went and fact-checked his sources, and turns out the girl was 23, not 15, which is still pretty young, but nowhere near as much. End of side note. Wow.
She's really young. And so...
Was she showing?
No, so, she genuinely didn't know. Or if she did know, she was too terrified to tell anyone and thought she ignored it, it would go away, Right. Well, fascinating scoop there. Yeah, no, but yeah, again, that was cool, man. Like,
as a one-off. Well, did you have... I know that the fun question is, what's the worst complaints, requests, stupid questions?
Just all, mate.
We've got the standards.
Yeah.
I think we've
it's so weird. Like, I think a lot of the passenger experiences, they want all those old tropes, like the amount of people come and go, oh, how do I know which photo is mine? And of course the response is, oh, your cabin number's on the back. And they all, like all that stuff. It boggles my mind how some of these people get out of bed in the morning, man.
And dress themselves.
Yeah. I got a rap on the knuckles because I was filming Embarkation, and this woman came over to me. She was furious, Sam, like furious, like frothing at the mouth. And I was like, "You all right, love?" And she was like, I've been on a plane for 4 hours. Like, we're in flipping Palma de Mallorca,
Sorry,
Yeah. 4 hours. And my dad hasn't had a cup of tea, and he's nearly 60. And I said, with all respect, madam, if this is like the worst thing's happened to you, you've had some pretty good holidays. She did not like that. She did not like that at all, Sam. She demanded to see my manager and all. Oh, mate. And I was like, just, what are you doing? Why are you coming on holiday like that? Like, the sun's shining. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst things happen at sea. You haven't had a cup of tea in 4 hours. You haven't even gotten on board yet. You're complaining about not lack of tea.
Not a cup of tea. Where the food at? Yeah, no. But like, I didn't really have many like big complaints or anything.
Like you said, though, when people come off of a short haul flight and then they get to the terminal in Palma de Mallorca, they see the Thompson name badge and they're like storming right up to you, like, right, I need to target my frustration at something. Sure. And this is the person who's going to get it.
Yeah, they're going to get it in the neck. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, you want to just smile for your photo?
I always thought our Thompson tyres, they reminded me of the, do you remember Chewits?
Yeah.
The ice cream flavour. There was those two colours, the ice cream flavoured Chewits.
Oh, the red and white. Yes, sorry. Yeah.
It was that cream and like white. It was cream and light blue, I think.
I never had to wear a Thompson uniform, man.
No, you didn't. Yeah, you had your own shit. But it was better still than the uniform I had to wear at Carnival. That was
you talked a lot about this, Sam. You did not enjoy that.
It was so 90s. It hurt. And I like the 90s, but that was not a good look for me. Like, I look at the pictures now. I'd like to think that there was some pictures that we could find a way to share or put in like a forum or things like that so people can see more than just the clips, like a gallery of pictures that people can share and dump.
Yeah, that's a great idea, man. Like I say, the problem I've got is the majority of mine are all physical,
printed. Well, you can take a picture. You can take a picture of a picture. Yeah, and digitize it. Yeah. Been trying to get my mum to do that for a long time because she doesn't know how to. I'm like, what happens if like you lose all of this stuff? This isn't mine childhood. This is your childhood. Your mother's got old pictures as well. So,
and this is exactly, again, this is something that was instilled in me from my time in the ships. Is like, physical prints are so important, and like, we've got a whole business now. Sean and I, we've got a company called Mini Big Studios, and like our whole MO is like prints. And the amount of mums that say to us, "Oh no, I don't want prints." I'm like, you do, and you're getting them because you never chuck it out. Like, you'll lose a phone that's got your pictures on it, and like you'll have pictures, on your Google Photos that you'll never look at them again. You'll never, they're on there. They're on there, but you'll never look at them again.
You're never going to have the energy to scroll with the wheel all the way back.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
but if you've got that print that's up on your wall, eventually you're going to take it down, but you're never going to bin it. You put it in a box and
you get something tangible about holding the album.
Exactly. And then it becomes your kids' pictures, and then it becomes, and it's how many times have you, like, you've had a relative pass or whatever, and you just lose hours with their albums, looking through, like working out who they are, and I think that's something that, you know, despite the waste and stuff on the cruise ship, I still think was bang on, like to sell those, for people to take prints home with them. I think it's super important, and it's like it's a kind of battle that that I'm still very much fighting in this, you know, in this digital age. There's a need for it, I think, and there's a worth to it that we sometimes lose sight of.
Well, on that, old tech is kind of coming back around full circle.
Yeah, sure.
I saw a video the other day of Notorious B.I.G. One of his songs getting cut onto a wax cylinder.
No way.
You know, like one of those old his master's voice. What are they called? The
phonograph. Yeah, like a
phonograph
record.
Exactly. So old media like that, cassettes and, you know, things. I think the Green Day album Dookie, each one of its tracks was input onto a different format. So one was on
sure.
It's like an old PC Sound Blaster card cylinder. There was something for every different track, and it was like, oh wow, all these different, you know, different ways we used to consume these different ways we used to consume media is coming back around full circle, because I feel like kids kind of almost missed out on that.
Yeah, I think as well, mate. It's just it's differentiating, isn't it? Like, if everything you've got is on a screen, it's nice to have something different. Do you know what I mean? It's like to have something tactile or whatever. And like, it's fucking like I'm a dad now, and like the battle I have with my boys with like their screen time and this overstimulation, like they're just never bored. There's always something to be doing, like, and it's it's going to come to bite us. I think there's going to be a lot of fallout now that you think, like, when we were kids, you know, our access was so limited, whereas their access is just limitless. You know, there's no roof to it. Like, it's a mad one, and it's kind of like the struggle of the modern age parent, I think, is dealing with that, whatever that is.
Which is why you were a perfect guest, you know, somebody that retrospectively can look back on board a time for nostalgic reasons and say, look, this was just before everyone had that.
Sure.
So we were in our bubble, very much kind of self-contained. We weren't distracted by all the noise that was going on. No drama kind of penetrated our core. It was very much like the ship's drama was its own thing, its own self-perpetuating sitcom.
I think you're right. And it was you're literally like cut away from the rest of the man. It was
there was primary characters like the captain, the cruise director, and the higher ups, and then there was the secondaries like the staff and the crew, and then there was your tertiary characters, which is like your passengers, you know, the ones who come in and out, or your guest act comedians, the ones who just flip here and there. But I did try writing it as a sitcom, and it was like, oh, this is impossible. Because there's that changing of the guard, you know, people come.
Yeah, sure.
There's no stable core of characters that are with each other week in, week out, and grow and have a chance to develop.
It's really fun. You're quite right, and like, it's really fun because the way that my contracts always, in that I never got off. It was wicked because you'd see one show team leave who you've had like a really strong, awesome relationship with, and you're so sad to see them, but then like the next day someone like, you know, like you guys, you and Josh and Drew get on, and you're like, oh, these guys are cool. And it's that excitement of meeting new people and knowing they're all going to be. Did you ever work with Bram? Was Bram on that show team?
Bram sounds familiar.
No, see, I think Bram must have got on when you guys got off. He'd be a good one to speak to. Bram's good people, man.
But, you know, with the turnover cruise, there would be like 1 week where we kind of...
everyone was on, right?
Yeah. What they call that?
But you lot were busy then.
Handover cruise.
You were doing that whole handover, right? So, like, I would never see you guys during that time.
Yeah. We were rehearsing all the game shows, all different beats, learning to master the monologue and stuff.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like the same kind of level of intensity as choreography and singing and all of that stuff the show team did. It was still a lot of work.
But I think as well, it's that weird thing because like you guys have make those shows your own, right? So it's that weird thing where you're like, this is what I would do. How, you know, and trying to help people find their way with it. Like it's a craft, man. And I used to love it. I'd duck into the show lounges whenever I could. fucking hell, Sam. I hate karaoke so much. Oh God, we had to film it, and that became my punishment. If anyone was a dickhead, they had to film karaoke.
That was their yeah.
Oh,
Same shit every cruise.
Oh, the amount of times you've heard My Way sung poorly.
Sweet Caroline was every night for years.
Yeah.
And it didn't even, I don't even know when it became a thing in sports. Like, it's not, I swear it wasn't as used as it is now.
Mate, I'm Palace. We sing it every week at the Palace. But yeah, I agree. It's I don't know when that happened. Whoever was in charge of that needs a ticking off.
Yeah, no. On American ships, it was always things like "Baby Got Back," "Journey," "Don't Stop Believing." Those were you'd hear those on repeat. But some could do it justice, and some would just be like, "Oh,
sure,
go away." We've got 2.5 minutes left, so quick. Promote yourself.
What can I tell you? We've got some big projects. So Mini Big Studios. If you're in South London area, we're massive baby photography company. But the most exciting thing is James and I are making an interactive treasure hunt for kids called Agent Creasy, and it's been in the pipeline for a very long time. It's the 3rd year we've been working on it. It's basically like a massive action movie that's condensed into 5, 6 to 10 minute videos, and the idea is that schools buy it. It's free to buy. It's just on a box office split, so they get 50%, we get 50%, and the kids get a little work pack, and they help Agent Creasy save the world. And it's a passion project that has snowballed and snowballed and snowballed, but it's gonna be good. It's going to be good. So Agent
Sounds really fun.
Mate, it's going to be great. There's nothing there yet, but I'm hoping that...
Well, this will take a while to publish.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. So I'm hoping that I'll have the website and stuff together for when you...
Agent Creasy. AgentCreasy.com. Fergus, we've got 1.5 minutes just under left. So I'm going to say our goodbyes, but I'm in London. So literally, if I'm down in Croydon...
No, we need to meet up, Sam.
We have a beer or something, yeah? Because we could talk for hours. I know we could.
We could. No, that'd be great. So it's been so good to see you, man, and I'm really proud of you. I think you're doing a great job.
Thanks, man.
And I'm very flattered you asked me to come on.
No, of course, I had to reach out to people that I worked with because it's nice to hear stories like testosterone. I'd forgotten all about.
How could you forget this? You hit up Drew and see if he knows. I think I'm probably the only person that remembers this. Maybe I hallucinated, Sam.
I'm going to chase up a lot of people. But again, I hope you enjoyed it. I had lots of fun.
It's been great. Cheers, Sam. So good to see you again, man.
You too, brother. All the best. Have a lovely weekend.
You too. Take care, buddy.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers, Sam.
So there you have it. That wraps it up for this episode of DeckTales. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've been entertained by the tales of laughter, camaraderie, and the occasional stormy sea, then don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps us to navigate the podcasting waters and continue bringing you these fascinating stories. Before I sign off, if you'd like to share your own stories for future episodes, then I'd love to hear from you. Simply get in touch over the socials, because after all, the best stories often come from our listeners. As we navigate through the waters of life, remember to enjoy the journey as much as the destination, as well as those you choose to share the adventure with. I've been your captain, Sammy Catlin. Until next time, fair winds, smooth sailing, and may your adventures be as unforgettable as those shared here on DeckTales. Bon voyage.